Welcome to MSP Voice, the weekly show for MSPs by MSPs. Brought to you by Cloudberry, the #1 cross-platform cloud backup. Learn more at cloudberrylab.com. This is MSP Voice. Hello and welcome to MSP Voice. This is episode number 20. It's kind of a milestone, I guess, being 20 episodes in. Today's guest is a great guy out of Chicago, Florian Militaru, who runs Pro. It's a kind of a computer repair shop, transitioning into MSP space, and he's done a lot of cool stuff with open source CRM. So it's a really interesting episode to check out. But before that, we're going to cover a couple of articles and interesting things we found on Reddit and the internet. So first up, a new phishing attack. It's an innovative phishing attack that makes inroads using Azure Blob Storage. So this is one that looks pretty nefarious because when the person gets the link, they're prompted to enter their Office 365 credentials, and it's trusted, it's using SSL, and so they don't necessarily know it's a malicious site. So definitely one you want to check out. The link is in the show notes in order to check out more information on it. But basically, they get an attachment. The file name displayed, scan files, please review. When they click on the button, they're directed to an HTML page that appears to be the Office 365 login form stored in Microsoft Azure Blob Storage solution. So there's very little to tip off the recipient that the link is malicious. The address is a valid blob storage address containing blob.core windows.net, and it's marked as secure site thanks to the SSL certificate. Even if the user checks the certificate, he or she will see it's signed and issued by Microsoft. So definitely one to be aware of. I'm not going to go into total details about this, but just wanted to make you aware that the new phishing attack is out there and let your customers know. So next up, let's move over to Reddit. Our first one here is about benefits. If you're lucky enough to have multiple employees, if you're not just a sole proprietor, you may have this question of what kind of benefits should you offer to your employees, and are there things that are better or worse? But obviously healthcare, that's important. That's one that you probably do want to offer, and that employees will ask for, at least in the United States. But then what about personal time off, and then what about like telecommuting? How often do you allow them to work from home versus come into the office, and those types of things? So this one's gotten some really good responses. The one here with the most upvotes, is a pretty generous benefits package, if you ask me. So they do a 401k with 3% salary automatically contributed. They offer unlimited personal time off, PTO, 3 days volunteer time off, plus 50 days charitable contribution per VTO day used. So I believe that's the company giving $50 to the charity each day that they use those. And then the on-call bonus in addition to salary. They encourage them to work from home 1 day per week, additional days available, as needed, those types of things. So that's a pretty generous benefits package. And further down in some of the replies, someone asked, do you do the 3% match on 401k even if they don't contribute? And he said yes. So that's kind of another thing is, do you match your employee's contribution, or you just automatically say, here's 3% of your salary we're going to put into your 401k. You can add if you want, but you don't have to. So again, that's pretty beneficial. But what happens is the unlimited PTO sparked quite a bit of discussion here in the threads. That people might abuse it, that maybe it's not such a good idea. People like structure. If you give them unlimited PTO, then some are going to abuse it and others aren't. And at the end of the day, it all kind of comes down to managing expectations. Just because you offer unlimited personal time off doesn't mean everyone's going to take it. And there's still an approval process, in place in order to make sure that that it's approved, so that you don't have all of your employees taking off, at the same time. So even though you give unlimited days off, people don't always take it. And it's kind of there for special use case. Now others say you should limit PTO, give them 15 days or 10 days or whatever it is. You can increase that after your service. It's really up to you on terms of what you want to do and decide if you can manage that or not. But it's really a good discussion. Like I mentioned, the 3% regardless, and the The volunteer time off, I think, is a great idea, especially, if you can match it and do those types of things. So, really a good thread to read out if you're looking at or considering, what kind of benefits to offer your employees, or if your employees may be reading this and saying, hey, why don't you offer me these benefits? So definitely check it out. Next up is a multi-factor authentication tidbit. So MFA, I think we all agree you should use it. And the original post here was basically, if you have admin accounts in your client's Office 365, do you have MFA enabled for those or not? You probably should. And what they've offered here is a script. They've got some scripts that you can enable MFA across those accounts. So that way, the next time if someone logs in with an admin account, they have to enable MFA, or it's even disabled until MFA is enabled on that account. So some really good tips here and a nice little script to help you do that. And of course, then that kind of leads to the discussion of, okay, so you've got one admin account at a customer, you have a tech trying to log into that. How do they get that verification code so that that token so that they can then log in? And so there's a good discussion here in terms of how do you do, if you do have SMS, which phone does it go to? Because you might have multiple texts and it can't go to all of them. Someone says they use Twilio and have it send the message to the Microsoft Teams channel. So everyone's on Teams so they can get it. He says it's not 100%, but if it doesn't work the first time, try it the second time, then it usually works. So that's a great idea, and there's a lot of discussion on that. One person says they use a Google Voice account, so that if it calls or whatever, then everyone has access to that email. That email goes out. One of the things about using Teams that someone suggested is that you can mute that channel so you don't get notifications, because really the only person who needs the notification is the one who's requesting the token to begin with. So that was another great suggestion. So some good ideas here. Obviously, MFA extremely important. How you get that delivered, good discussion here in the comments on this thread. Next up is, do you barter for services? So the original question is, he's been in the MSP industry for a long time, was wondering if it's illegal for me to offer free IT support to local businesses in exchange for their products and services, such as leasing cars of dealerships and stuff. They said, sorry if it's a stupid question. So the question actually isn't stupid. And what a lot of people point out is bartering is not illegal. It's a like-kind exchange, those types of things. Where it becomes illegal is when you don't report it to the IRS for tax purposes. So just because you're getting, a good, something in exchange for services offered, there still has to be a dollar amount added to that, and you have to report that as something received in order for, in terms of services. So that's where the discussion mostly goes to on here is how to make sure that your accountant or your accounting professional properly puts these items in there so you don't run afoul of the law. If someone else points out that it's ridiculous, you should never do it. You're offering services for money, cash is king, get cash, and then they go into kind of a little bit of a debate about, okay, maybe I would do it here, or maybe I do it this way, one off, but not necessarily a regular business practice. So definitely if you're looking at doing, offering that or taking something in exchange for money for services, check with your accountant, make sure that you report it properly, because you do not want to run afoul of the IRS here in the United States. And then next up, our last one here is kind of a it's an interesting thing. It's not necessarily has to do with MSPs in general, although it did happen to a managed service provider. But it's just this weird kind of one of these weird articles involving an MRI machine. So the title of the article is MRI disabled every iOS device in the facility. So this is like, wait, iOS affected by an MRI? It's kind of interesting as you read through. He's given several updates over on this thread in terms of why it's happened. The original post was kind of like, he thought maybe it was an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP that affected things, but on further investigation, if it was an EMP, why is it only affecting iOS? So he's cross-posted it to a couple to Ask Science as well to kind of get their input. And what it turns out is it's helium. You know, MRIs, they use superconducting materials and they're cooled by helium. Well, if you go through on the update, apparently what happened is during the testing of this MRI, this new MRI device, you know, there was a helium leak. And, you know, they're not sure how much got out, but as much as 120 liters was leaked, 120 liters of compressed helium. Now, when that's expanded, that expands about 750 times from liquid to gas. So, you know, that's about, he said, 90,000 square meters of gaseous helium, which actually is a lot, especially if you got into the HVAC system, because the HVAC wasn't isolated, so it got into the rest of the building. And for some reason, this is only affecting iOS devices, and some worse or more than others. So if you work around helium, you know, don't take your iPhone, I think is part of it. But it's just this interesting, weird things that happen, you know, when you're out there working in these weird stories. So definitely check this out. And, you know, it hopefully provides some additional updates, you know, going on, and they figure out even more. But it was just one of those too weird not to share. So with that, we are now ready for our interview. So again, we are talking with Florian Militaru from Pro out of the Chicago area. Great conversation. Florian's a great guy, and really interesting what he's done with the CRM system to help him run his business. So enjoy the interview. Hello and welcome to MSP Voice. Today I am joined by Florian Militaru from Pro. You know, unitapro.com is the website, but I guess Pro is your company name, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good name, because you know you need to hire a pro to handle your IT services. So Florian, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and you know your managed service business?
Okay. So I came in US in 2002 September and opened a repair company about 5 months after. You know, at the time, about 15 years ago, there was a need for on-site support I found from a guy that was doing this on the side, and I said, well, I can probably, you know, do this myself too.
Yeah.
And I applied a couple of interviews, one, you know, for like big store chains, and that didn't go well.
Okay.
So I started to build my own website. I show up on Google on May 1st, the page for Computer Repair Chicago in 2003, and I had my first on-site about 6 months after I came in US. I was going to classes, English classes,
Okay.
in the morning, and then doing some valet parking at night, and then in between I'll go visit residential users and then
Okay.
fix computers. And then we had our first storefront in 2006 November, and then kind of, you know, moved into MSP in starting 2013.
Okay.
And we're not full MSP right now. We do some break and fix for residential. It's we'll probably do that for a while.
Okay.
But we do basically anything from computer repairs in the shop, on-site support for residential and small businesses, VoIP through Asterix and 3CX, web design and development, and PC and Mac repairs. I think I said that already. But that's kind of what our core is.
Okay, great. And you said you came to the U.S. You came from Romania, if I'm not.
Romania, yes.
Yes. Okay. So
Romania.
So did you have a computer background in your native Romania?
No. So in Romania, I used to sell like refurbished computers, Pentium 2s. And I kind of like technology. I have my background. I have a degree in management, but nothing in technology. I basically just love technology and love to help others with technology.
Okay. And so, and you said you're still doing break fix and residential. I know, there's some MSPs that might have started out that way and have moved away from it. Is that still, a good part of your business? And
So
you still enjoy doing that?
right. So it going back a little bit, in 2013, I decided, I was looking at a backend system that will allow me to kind of, move into MSP world.
Mhm.
And I decided to kind of build my entire infrastructure from an open source CRM.
Okay.
And at the time, we had the module. In 2007, I decided to kind of, I felt bad when people will come into our shop when I opened
Mhm.
my first shop, and then I'll hand them a piece of paper to fill, first name, last name, email address, and a phone number. And, it's like, oh, man, it has to be a better way. I'm a technology
Yeah.
company. So I basically figured out a form. I turned 180 degrees a monitor, and I created a form that they will come and fill themselves.
Yeah.
And then basically that will come into a module that we started to use which is Sweet CRM right now. At the time was Sugar CRM open source.
Okay.
So we
Hmm.
created a module to track all the orders in the shop. So I had about 11,000 accounts in 2013 that I kind of went into, MSP, and the needs of the clients were like, okay, I need a little bit of remote, Office
Hmm.
365 will come, and I need to set up that and then server, and you guys did so good job of, fixing my computer. So I realized that, for me as a break and fix, there was nothing, in the marketplace to basically, give me as a backend. So,
Okay.
people, other big companies, PSAs out there, they will, say, hey, we'll pay thousands of dollars. You gotta, buy this, and then we're gonna train you, and then you're gonna pay us, hundreds of dollars a month for your users. It was me and three guys. Like, man, I have this module that I mean, like 11. In my business, it's 80% repairs and 20% some, on-site work. It's like I
Yeah.
cannot, So I decided to basically do all this myself. So
Wow.
we do everything basically in this backend system that I integrated with, eBay, Google Maps, QuickBooks, the RMM that we use. So it's our basically PSA.
Okay.
Uh, so the the thing started to turn around. We came up with other offerings, Wipe, something that I did
Hmm.
for us, and then clients that I know for years, they say, well, I want to do that as well. So right now, when I'm looking at our business model, to answer your question, is basically, MSP, contract work, it's about 45% of
Okay.
what we do as a revenue.
Hmm.
Then about 35% it's projects, on site, basically for the existing clients that
Hmm.
we support, or for newer or clients that we support for years. And
Yeah.
then we repairs, what I call in the shop, it's about 15% of
Okay.
revenue. And then, there is some remote and web design development and
Mhm.
search engine optimization, other offerings that we do for clients. But this is kind of what we do. I'm looking at the revenue streams.
Yeah. So on the managed services side, do you kind of do you have a vertical specialty, or is it just small business, or what's, I guess, how do you target to
So,
customers for
so
that?
um, I always looked at the needs of the end user, whether that
Hmm.
is residential or small business. So the fact that I didn't have any, or I didn't work for any MSP, where I didn't use any PSA before, I kind of did my own research, and I
Hmm.
focused on delivering on the promise that I have for the either residential or a small business. So
Okay.
um, when in 2013, having that 11,000 accounts with, I would say 95% of them, they were, residential clients.
Yeah.
my goal and our rebranding focused on creating a package, a yearly package that we can sell, to a residential client. So we have, like, we call it Pro Care. Basically,
Okay.
it's like kind of a yearly maintenance, antivirus security, remote support, and cloud backup. So like for $200 a month, you will maintain, provide antivirus and provide unlimited remote support for your computer. If you want backup, that's another $150 and $350. Then we did so much research and branding, and like I have my board over here to target that basically we ended up capitalizing on the small business. People will get in contact with them. Oh, we're going to create an offer for them too. So the way that we grow and sign up new clients for the business side is basically we go there for a problem. They have a server, a network. They have some network issues, computer issues, and then we fix that efficiently and professionally. And then we say, hey, instead of like being reactive and wait for things to go bad, here is this package that we have, for a monthly fee per workstation or per server. We can help you being proactive about this. This is basically always our approach. And we have pretty good rankings online, for if you search. Done that for 15 years and started doing for other clients. So if you go on, in Chicago, search, will be first on the page with the big MSPs out there. So if you don't like them, we end up is like, oh, they pay, we actually more cost effective. So we get clients that way, So we are a team of 8 right now, and we love everything that we do, especially in the back end. I focus to create that back end to deliver on the promise of the end user, being efficient and cost effective, and then in the same time giving the tech, the people that work with me here, the tools, only what he needs to do his job, not the quoting, tracking tickets and all that.
Okay, so that's kind of, so you built this backend system, from a CRM that's kind of morphed into a PSA. What other solutions do you use? What are kind of software and things like that do you use to run your business?
So we use Autotask Endpoint Management for RMM. We can import devices into our PSA, into our CRM suite CRM. 3CX, it's our VoIP solution, and we use it internally here. Cloudberry we use for backup, and we like it because it's really cost effective, and it gives us a lot of options to restore and play with. Hardware, when it's about networking, SonicWall or Unify, it's something that we deploy. But this is basically, I try to keep everything simple and connected. That's probably what our backend is.
Okay, great. And how often do you reevaluate those tools? Do you, I mean, obviously you've got your backend system, that you've created, based on open source, but do you continuously look at different tools to help you, maybe do something more efficient or cheaper or things like that?
I spend a lot of time actually focusing on developing our backend, how to be more cost effective, how to be more efficient, how to help the guys actually easy on their day-to-day work. We are pretty much set on the tools that we use. There are other things that security-wise that I started to look into, like dark web scam, and I found some free open source databases that we can probably integrate. I thought that about actually providing added value to the existing clients and
Mm-hmm.
give them for free, like a weekly or monthly reports
Okay.
on so just um, my team, it's really self-taught, and we like what we do. And I have seen cases where like, oh, I forgot to mention, like for network monitoring, it's actually PRTG we use for network
Okay.
monitoring. And
Yeah.
actually, it's not me that I found it. It's actually one of my guys that actually went out there and it's like, hey, it has to be a better way than what AEM does for network monitoring, because we were
Mm-hmm.
trying to set it up, and we found that, and we love it. That's
Okay.
one of the other tools. So we always look for better ways to do things, and cheaper ways to
Yep. More
to,
margin.
yeah, exactly. That's my motto.
Yeah, correct. And one thing too, I noticed on your website, one of the things I like is you have all your team members. You have on your About Us page, you have all your team members on there. With a little with the picture and a paragraph about them. I really like that. I thought that
Right.
was that's nice, because that way you can meet the people before you even engage.
Right.
So
That's kind of what, when we did the website in you know I think beginning of the year,
mhm.
we wanted to be real. We wanted to
Yeah,
be, someone approachable. It's not
yep,
like all the other MSPs, like the big guys are like, oh, big websites, and all the same, and kind of like cold when and we want to
yeah,
be approachable. We are basically the guy that you will uh, meet once a month probably. And actually, when we do the onboarding, we send the PDF. Hey, this is us with the pictures as well.
mhm.
So we want to be friendly.
Okay. Great. Yeah, like I said, I really like that. So, in thinking about, services and somebody out there that might just be getting started, obviously, you had your route, and it's worked well for you. Any advice you have for someone, out there that's maybe coming from an IT job and wants to kind of do it themselves, or, they're tired of working for the man and want to work for themselves and start their own business. Any kind of advice you have for someone just getting started?
Well, um, I always I think I am a lucky guy. I came, had a chance to meet my wife. She won a visa lottery. We got married. We came here. But when I got here, um, I didn't have any limits. I mean,
Hmm.
basically, I had that, what I look for when someone to join our team is like, um, the critical mentality. It's like, well, everything can be done. You know,
Yeah.
don't think about, oh, I can't do that. I will give you probably 100 reasons why you cannot do something.
Hmm.
But if you start with that mentality, you won't be able to grow either personally, or like a small business. So it's only one thing that I'll recommend is like, don't think that you cannot do it.
Okay.
You can definitely uh, do it. The luck you basically build yourself. It's
Yeah.
something that you have to be open, minded, and research. And don't, by one other thing, don't do this for the money. If you do this for the money because you think that's if you think, I'm gonna go, I have heard this so many times, like, what do you want to, one of the questions that I ask when I hire somebody, what do you want to do this? Well, technology, being technology nowadays is like, it's a lot of money. It's like, if you start with that mentality, if you have no idea what you get yourself into, because
Yeah.
you know, my wife is a lawyer, and she went to school here, and it's like, laws, you have a set, and they don't change every day.
Yeah.
Technology, it's a constant changing
Yep.
environment. You gotta learn how to deal with this. You gotta love it. You gotta be open to new things. And when I spend a lot of time on the back end, and she will ask me, it's like doing weekend. I'll start researching modules and how to integrate this and how to do that. It's like, what have you done the whole week? What have you? it's like this is like, it doesn't stop for me Friday. It doesn't. I'm doing this because I love it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the team and the company that I want to build. I want to have fun.
Yeah.
And and you're not going to have fun if you don't understand what you get yourself into, because this is and I love it. I mean, but basically, be on the constant change.
No, that's great. So, I mean, that's kind of my next question is, what do you love best about, being in services or managed services or even PC repair? What do you like best about it?
Help people with technology and help small businesses. The backend that I developed, actually, I was able to deploy for other companies in the service industry, and I do this, it's something or an opportunity that I would like to, explore more next year as a, suite CRM consultant. But what did I love being on the cutting edge of, okay, what's next out there and how can I be more efficient, of what we do, here, and how I can pass that to the end user, show him, the technology, can be used into a, smart way. And it's not about, spending hours trying to figure out one small little thing. It's like how we can address this, before it happens, or even know about it. So the small businesses that we work with, I'm not looking at only at their technology and how they what routers, network, and just deploy it, do maintenance, the scripts and all that, and then I'm constantly reaching out to them. I'm visiting them every couple of months, and my team as well. Reach out to them. It's like, hey, if they have a problem that they don't know how to solve, just tell us about it. Tell us. It's like, oh, and I sometimes, and my colleagues here, we go on site. It's like, hey, have you had a question that you wanted to do, or that you were looking to do and you didn't know how to do it? It's like a client at one point, they wanted to actually have a way to text their customers, to remind them of an appointment. It's like, hey, this can be easily done with Office 365 or with this other, text reminder that we can integrate. And here, use it. And they love that. The fact that actually we are not looking, okay, we're gonna, we have one flat fee, we're gonna do this, and then, we're out of here. We want to be your partner when it comes to technology. And if you have challenges, reach out to us. That's what I like the most.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of the success, a lot of the MSPs that I talk to, that's kind of a very similar in terms of their approach is partnering with your customers, being that trusted advisor, and really helping them out. So that's kind of what you really like about it. What are some of the worst things, or things you don't like about?
When it comes back to I told you so, so we have like clients that you cannot go forever with 8 years, 10 years, 12 years. It's like, hey, I'm watching your back here, and you tell them over and over. It's like, hey, you gotta take a proactive approach to this. Don't wait for this to server to completely die. Don't just invest in this technology. Invest in this. It's part of business. If you wanna be competitive out there nowadays, you cannot do it on paper. You cannot do it spending hours searching for the information. So you gotta take this step. And this is what it's unbelievable how but it's working. Yes, it's working now. What would you do if it's like I have well, it's gonna take a week or two, or I don't know, to get you up and running, and the market that we are in, usually, small business up to 30 computers, server or not, it's really challenging, to educate the small business owner to be proactive about this. That's what I basically hate about it when I when I see not taking that proactive approach.
Yeah. Well, then, like you said, the I told you so, right? So you tell them, and all of a sudden the problem happens,
Right.
and you can't say I told you so because they're your customer, but they know in the back of their mind that you've been telling them to do this for however long, and they didn't follow your advice, and now they're in trouble. So,
Right.
yeah, that does I can relate to that.
It's frustrated. It's frustrated.
Yeah.
Right. When it's frustrated.
Yeah.
That's
So thinking about technology, just technology in general, doesn't have to be, work related, it can be personal consumer. What technologies right now are you most excited about? Like now or in the future, near future?
security at the small business level. What the crypto alert came a couple of years ago. Hit a couple of big companies that probably they got patched and they have security in place. But I see a lot of residential and small businesses that they are still not security wise.
Yeah.
Using some of the best practices, about passwords and I mean,
Yeah.
and as the bad guys probably hit some of the big enterprise level, they target residential clients.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that with the dark web in place, and how how the amount of emails that phishing emails that we get into Office 365. And I have heard about small business owners that open their you know I'm constantly thinking that it has to be a better way, and I'm trying to figure out what will be the cost-effective way that we can help our end users, whether they're residential or small businesses, at the cost-effective way.
Yeah.
So dark web scans, it's something that, like I said, I would like to offer.
Okay.
So security, probably.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, kind of going back, you talked about some of your residential and small business customers. Do you provide, because, a lot of times, yes, technology can help, but, do you provide any kind of training for them? Any, saying, don't click on this email, you said, strong passwords, those types of things. Do you kind of you have a program for that, or is it just on an?
No. And I actually have been trying to tackle this. Right now in our backend, we have about 20,000 accounts, residential and and I've been actually one of the things that I am still struggling to get to is that marketing plan for a year where we kind of send them an email, and it's funny that it's so easy to do, especially with our backend. I mean, we can just do it directly from there. But no, that's another thing that that I realized that a lot of small businesses and residential clients that we work with, we spend a lot of time, even if we don't say, it's like training them. Hey, there's a better way to do this, and by the way, you should use this. But that approach, I agree with you that it's actually should be the future, or probably IT. Because there are so many things that you could do one thing, and if you don't have someone that actually tells you and tested, and I believe that that's where the big MSPs, the people that go over 10, 15 people, that we take usually clients from, that personal approach stops. It's like, okay, I'm here to just install this server and I'm out of here. But end users are left in the dark of how do I do this and how do I do that. So I believe that that will be the if I can fix this problem by the end of the year with one email to the clients, that would be a big plus.
Yeah. Hey, so keep me posted on that because I only have one customer, and it's my mom. Uh, so, she's always calling me, which is good. I've got her trained to call me, where she gets a weird email or something pops up on her screen. And, but yeah, it's kind of one of those, or, her printer doesn't work, which is difficult to do when you're 1,000 miles away, but
Right.
I work through it. So,
So what I realized, we have residential clients like this, and small business owners, that we did send them a couple of emails where we pointed to some videos that they should see about
Mhm.
phishing. But in the end, the fact they never look at them. The
Yeah, I know.
what they actually appreciate, and having us at the back end, a phone number or an email to call.
Yeah.
Only that the fact that is like, oh, if something comes up, and we are really responsive when it comes, helping.
Hmm.
Um, the fact that they can pick up the phone and call us and immediately have someone jump on, is like, oh yeah, this is where he sent us an email, I got this, forwarded. Yeah, this is phishing. So it comes back to how responsive you are. One of the things that I'm being really careful about, getting new clients or getting really big, if I don't figure
Yeah.
out a way to be um, responsive. I don't
Yeah.
want to lose that.
Yeah, I'm responsive for my mom, but I don't think I can take on any more customers. So.
I understand.
Um, okay, so we are now to our rapid fire round. This is kind of it's meant to be light and fun, so don't put too much thought into it. These are easy questions. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, Apple or Android?
Apple.
Okay, Mac, Linux, or Windows?
Can I pick two? Win
Sure.
Windows and I can pick them all. Can I pick them
Okay,
all? Yeah.
sure. That's fine. Cloud platform, Amazon, Azure, Google, something else.
Amazon.
Okay. For backups, backup locally or to the cloud or both.
Both.
Perfect. Should you always virtualize? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. And finally, which is worse, printer support or vendor cold calls?
Printer support.
I'm sure you've done a fair share of printer support in your career.
Printers can be a bitch.
Yeah, especially residential.
Yeah. 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 That's if you if you don't ask the right questions at the right time, you
So again, going back to my mom, right? She calls me, she can't print from her iPad. I'm like, okay. And I'm walking her through all this stuff. The printer's working, and I'm like, I can't figure out what's going on. And finally, I realized that her iPad was connecting to Xfinity, a hotspot, which they have outside the house. She wasn't on the same Wi-Fi as the printer. And it's like, no wonder you can't
yeah.
print.
Funny, another funny kind of printer story. We had a client couple of I hope she doesn't listen. Couple of weeks ago, it's like, hey, she calls desperate. It's like, I can't find my I scanned a document yesterday, I cannot find it. I don't know where it is. It was on my desktop. It's like, we look to the backups, it's nowhere. It's like, we
Yeah.
do 2 hours backup file and folders, like this. And then we go back and forth. It's like, well, what happened with that document? And then eventually, within an hour, she's like, really? What happened with that document? It just disappeared, right? And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. I still have it here. I can scan it again.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
not a big deal. It's not a
yeah,
big
well,
deal.
not like she didn't scan it and shred it, just scan it again.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's the simple things.
yeah.
Okay, so before we finish up, anything else you want to say or let the audience know about before we go?
Um, I don't have anything
Okay.
to add to it. I probably talk too much about.
No.
Sorry
That's
about
why
that.
we're here. That's why we're here, right? We're here to talk and share experiences. So yeah, it's been great. Florian, thank you so much. And thanks for participating. It's
No
been great.
problem. Thank you for having me.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You too. Bye bye.